Hello everyone, Techer Brandon here at Techer Brandon on Twitter, and I went to go see the Warcraft movie, and it was a lot of fun. I haven't been to a movie theater seeing a movie based off of a video game since Wing Commander. Actually, Saffron Burrows and Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard were in that movie, and Warcraft was a lot of fun. Certainly a ton of CGI, and the critics don't like it, and I can see why that is. But I guess I'll get into that as I go. I just said a couple quick thoughts about it. I've played Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness. That was the first game I played freaking years ago. And I beat that. Warcraft 3 came out. I beat that. Then Frozen Throne. And around Frozen Throne was when I started really caring about the stories. Because up until that point, my biggest ambition when playing video games was, okay, story is like, okay, this person did this, blah blah blah. Because before the maps loaded, you had that chapter's backstory to listen to, which at least for Warcraft 2 was just that time it was like, Blackrock Spire has been taken over, and this person's trying to stop it. Whatever that might be. With Warcraft 3, it was more cinematic. You had the in-game characters actually playing out the story, which was really cool. But around Frozen Throne was when I started taking the storyline more seriously, and I played a little bit of World of Warcraft rather, and I stopped when the level cap hit 20. That's when the free up to level 20 came out, and beyond that I didn't really go any further, and there were so many quests and so many things to do and just so much lore to learn. I didn't bother to really learn a lot of the backstory, and maybe that's a bad thing. But you know what? As far as going in is concerned, I had a rough idea of what the universe was about, and this seemed like more of an origin story than anything else when I went into it. So, I had some knowledge of what's going on. I went with my father-in-law, which he knows nothing about Warcraft. He knows it exists. He knows World of Warcraft is one of those big games, but he knows nothing about the story, the characters. It's just completely new to him, and even he still liked it, because he was able to pick up the story, and that's what we're going to talk about. So as far as the plot, by the way, there's no spoilers in this, or at least I'm trying my hardest not to do any spoilers. It might be a little tough, but as far as the plot's concerned, it's pretty straightforward. The orcs are trying to find a new home because theirs has been destroyed for the most part. Which, you can see that from the trailers. It's no secret, and it pretty much follows that formula throughout. I'm actually happy about the cast. They did not get big name actors, which kind of like in Star Wars, where you had no name actors, but of course you had Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. They were big name, but they weren't the central part of the movie. They were just supporting, if anything else, which is okay. That's fine. I knew none of the cast in the Warcraft movie. Not a one. Nobody came to mind. Maybe I've seen a couple of them in other works, but going in, I had no clue who these people were, and they all did okay. I didn't see a problem with them at all. As far as the characters themselves relating to the video game universe, again, I don't really have too much experience in the lore. People have probably memorized, oh, you pick up this scroll from this particular house in Goldshire, or you can get this item from this random enemy in Ironforge or whatever. A lot more people would be a lot more knowledgeable than I would, but the characters were easy enough to recognize. I didn't get lost in the story at all. Like, I knew what was going on. I knew their motives. I knew going in what their ultimate purpose was, and it fit well. It felt like a decent story. Throughout, I didn't feel like it was just dragging on. Maybe the slow parts when they're trying to do a little bit more character development with some of them. Like they're talking about their families or what they did prior to the events here. Maybe those did drag a little bit, but they didn't really distract too much, I don't think. How well does it relate to the game in terms of like items, locations, magic, stuff like that? Just from what I've seen of World of Warcraft and what I've seen of Warcraft 3, it's actually pretty faithful. A lot of the... Ooh, Kitty decided to come and play. You want to go see the Warcraft movie? You want to go see it? Come here, you. See? This is where they got the lion. This is where the lion's crest came from for the alliance. See? You're a lion. No, you're a cat. Get out of here. The locations were there. They had like Stormwind City, Ironforge, Elwyn Forest. I think Goldshire was in it towards the beginning. They had all the locations there, and they looked really good. In fact, one point, it's not a spoiler, but it is a really cool little detail, was when the Griffin, obviously there are Griffins that you see in the trailers. When the Griffins are flying into Stormwind City, they actually fly into the exact area they're supposed to in World of Warcraft. I looked at him like, oh, he's going to go in there, and that was a really nice touch. So clearly the game makers had a say in these, had a say in trying to create the game world, trying to create the locations in the movie. So I think they got that down. Even down to the Murlocs that make an appearance. It was brief, but they're in there too. So I think it recreated that. As far as items are concerned, some of the major weapons like the warhammers, the swords, the armor looked pretty faithful. Soundtrack sounded just like I would expect from the World of Warcraft and It kind of reminded me a lot of Warcraft 3. It seemed like they were trying to recreate a lot of the drums and a lot of the chorus that you hear in the games, and it did a really good job of that. And since I saw it in IMAX 3D, when something like collided, like when a warhammer hit another character, when a sword was slashed, you felt it. You felt the hit, which it might just be because of IMAX, but the sounds were there. It really made you feel like you were in the midst of battle. I kind of wish there were more mages in it. I kind of wish they expanded a little bit more instead of, actually I take that back. I don't, the mages were like, other characters like mages, if they had other flying vehicles other than griffins, if like they showed, I think it's the Bat Riders for the Horde, they showed those, which you can argue probably didn't exist at that time or whatever, but maybe it would have been cool to see them. But then again, for any newcomer coming in, like, as I said, my father-in-law knows nothing about the movie or the universe around it. It might have gotten too much, because if they really wanted to, they can just go out and say, you know what, we're not starting from Warcraft, we're starting from Warcraft 3. Let's get in the humans, the orcs, the undead, and the night elves all in one movie. Let's get all their locations. Let's get all the casting classes. Let's get all the range classes, all that stuff. I think it would have been too much. So this was a happy balance. I was okay with that. And now this cat wants to join in. Come here, you. Oh, come here. Yeah. And here's the crest for the ladies. This is the lion crest for the ladies on the Alliance. Get out of here. Okay, so do I recommend this movie? Yes, but only in 3D. Do not see standard def. This is one of those movies where it needs to be in 3D. Some movies don't. If you want to see Star Wars not in 3D, shame on you. That movie demanded to be seen in 3D. This movie pretty much does, but I saw it in IMAX, which to me made all the difference. If you're not a fan of the Warcraft universe or know nothing about it, if anything, it'd be kind of a neat little fantasy movie to watch. You might get a little lost in it, but I don't think you're gonna, I don't think you'll have a bad time at all. If you're a fan of Warcraft, even a little bit like I am, you'll recognize a lot of the in-game content that's there. You'll recognize the locations, and you won't really get lost too much because you already know, essentially what's transpired in the game for the most part in terms of the orcs and the humans. And then the undead and the night elves come later. So I don't think I don't think I have a bad time either. So this is like any movie. The critics may not like it, but maybe you will. So don't take everyone else's opinion with a grain of salt, even mine. Who knows? You might go to it and say, yeah, your review is is not accurate. It really was that bad. Okay, but you still enjoy yourself sitting there. Did you walk out? Bet you didn't. I didn't. Nobody did. Though to be fair, in the theater there was only, I think, 1, 2, 3. It was like maybe 7 people, including us. And it was about 10. It was 10:40 in the morning. That was the only time we really could go today. So who knows? Apparently, I did ask the guy. I asked him like, how was the midnight screenings for this? He's like, well, we had a small crowd, nothing big, but the Friday and Saturday after that, apparently it was packed. There was lines for it. So there was definitely a good amount of people see this. Clearly, because they made their budget back almost double. So, I'd say if you have the time, go ahead and see it in theaters. You won't be disappointed. At least I wasn't. So, I think I'm gonna go install Warcraft Tides of Darkness and give it another go. So, this is Type of Brandon. Until next time.